that has nipped back off the seam, knocked middle stump out of the ground. A spectacular wicket.
Yeah, one of those things you just love to see as a bowler, isn't it? That and cartwheeling stumps.
Love a cartwheeling stump. Yeah. I think they'd watered the stump ends at the Oval the other day because Dom Sibley quite gently played back a straight drive that knocked out the off stump at the non-striker's end. Then he did the same thing and it knocked out the middle stump. And then someone underarmed the ball and he knocked out the leg stump.
Do you get a prize for that?
Ground. I don't know, but I mean, it's nice to watch as a fan. I like to see stumps go, don't you?
I think there should be some kind of prize for that. It was like in the snooker the other day, the 100 breaks or something. In a season, you get 100 grand.
Did we get the second wicket or no? No, it wasn't pushing through, but it is. Okay, team. I've just been given some news. I needn't have been speaking for the last 7 minutes because I thought we were on air, but YouTube, innit? YouTube. So if you left us and you're a Durham fan and you were thinking this is a rather nice start, settling back in, beautiful summer's day, going to watch the ball pig it around to all parts, well, things have changed in your and our absence. Rana McDonald-Gay picked up 2 in 2, first of all, chapping Marlowe. LBW for 9, and then the very next ball, Holly Armitage walked out, got a nip backer. It went between bat and pad. The middle stump flew out of the ground. Because we weren't on YouTube, I don't know if we're going to be able to show the replays of those wickets or not. I will put in a request so that you get to see what might otherwise have lost there. It is apologies to you watchers that essentially we were on air all that time before we turned it off and turned it on again, and we just unfortunately chose the moment to turn it off and on again was the precise moment when stuff was actually happening.
That's so typical, isn't it? You know, Surrey will be thinking, oh, hopefully they'll have to turn it off and on again because it seems to work in our favour.
Yes.
But it was, an over started with a 4, 2 dots, and then suddenly 2 wickets, and the game has turned on its head again.
And also missed a troop of camels that strangely came flying by, and the King parachuted in, just popped in, said hello to everybody and popped off again, but I'm afraid he missed all of that.
You just have to take our word for it.
Take our word for it, yeah. Yeah. Paddington Bear streaked across the outfield,
wearing nothing but a marmalade sandwich.
Still to this day I am infuriated by an episode of Rainbow in which Bungle goes swimming and puts on swimming trunks, because the rest of the time Bungle wears nothing.
Oh.
Which obviously leads you to question whether or not, now that you know that he needs to wear swimming trunks when he goes swimming,
you do wonder why he walks around in the nudie the rest of his life.
Correct, exactly.
Interesting.
And I also had a pathological hatred of Bungle. Did you ever watch Rainbow?
No.
You're a little bit too young for Rainbow.
Perhaps,
You didn't miss anything.
Other than naked Bungle. What?
I'm not having any nostalgia for Rainbow. It was a crime against humanity. So last ball of Monaghan's over. It's going to bring up a run. Otherwise it would have been a maiden, but Surrey here, just the last couple of overs have got on top of Durham. 30 for 2. 4 overs remain in the power play. Batters to go. Marlowe for 9. And Armitage first ball for a duck. It's a super bit of bowling from Rana McDonald-Gay. And so far it's been tough bowling conditions for players across the country, but especially here in Beckenham. So McDonald-Gay to pick up a couple 2 in 2 balls will give her a massive fillip, and she will stay on. 2 for 12 from 3 she's got. Susie Bates though squats over this match.
She does, doesn't she? You feel like she holds the key to the city.
Yes.
And also, as we were saying, we've been very impressed by Surrey's fielding. They're not leaking any spare runs, just taking any pressure off in any way.
Good in the infield, haven't they been? Yeah, really good. I mean, it's on a surface like this that you really do get the heebie-jeebies as a skipper, because when you're only allowed 2 fielders out, you feel that this is just artificial and unfair. You know, if we were playing club cricket as a wide is called, then you'd come onto a pitch like this and you'd see what's happening to the ball, and instantly you'd have a sweeper over yonder, you'd have a sweeper on the leg side, you'd probably have a deep third. But of course you can't do that here, so you've got to use your scant boundary riding resources cannily, and it also requires your fielders in the inner ring, which for women's cricket is that bit tighter, isn't it, than for men's cricket? So you've got another angle problem, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Everything kind of counts against you as a skipper in these 10 overs.
Although when one of your top bowlers comes out and takes 2 in 2,
Yeah.
it'll help.
It does help, yeah. Well, there's not much anybody can do about that. A little bit too wide, and that's what allowed Maddie Villiers to pick her spot between extra and mid-off, all along the ground. 4 more.
Yeah, glorious looking stroke, this from Maddie Villiers, but it's just perfect position, wasn't it, for that stroke? Laura Wolvart-esque.
Oh, yes. Yeah, nice. Yes, I see exactly what you mean there. She's been in rare form, Laura Wolfhard. Thick inside edge. You might have thought about the run. It isn't there. She was in great form in the T20 World Cup. She continued that on a fair bit, didn't she, in England's tour of South Africa. She was a really key wicket to get. But you think back to that series, that multi-format series, which we'd all thought this is the perfect preparation for England's women's Ashes.
Well, yes.
Yeah. Well, we could just agree never to talk about it again, but I don't think we can afford to do that. Stifled appeal, ball just angling down.
Yes, it was a tricky period. And sadly, I was on the right time zone.
Well, you were watching it, weren't you? You were there for much of it.
Yes.
Yes.
A quick interlude to the under-19s in the middle.
Yeah.
Had the joys of
Similar kind of time.
Samoa under-19s.
Oh, yeah.
Nigeria under-19s. Who else did I have? New Zealand and South Africa. That was a group I was on.
So you got to spend plenty of time with Kayla Rennicke, who for me, what a skipper she was. It's almost
she's
like
great
Danny
fun.
Van
She was
Niekerk
cool as well. Yeah.
Remade.
And she was just a really cool person. And
Is she? Yeah.
Yeah. No, we seemed to end up in the lift at the same time as her. End of the 7th over, 35 for 2.
She had great command and just watching her captaincy.
One of those you look at and you'd be like, oh, she'd be, school prefect, this, that, and the other. One of those that, if you're going out as a teenager, when the other parents know that she's going, they'll let you go because she's there.
She will organise every hen do in her entire mateship
with
group.
Some kind of spreadsheet.
Big spreadsheet. Huge
colour-coded.
Clipboard, and everybody will do exactly what they're told.
Yes.
Unlike at every single stag do I've ever been to, where all the men pitch up and the best man says, right, I thought we'd all go for an Indian, and then half the people there go, oh, I don't like Indian.
Everyone likes naan, even I like naan.
Yes, but men just refuse to be told what to do by other men. It's really, really frustrating and incredibly boring when you're on a stag do. Whereas Kayla Rennicke would run a very tight hen do.
You could put her in charge of the stag do.
I would put her in charge. Well, I'd make her England captain if I could, quite frankly.
But yeah, it was a very exciting group actually, and Samoa and Nigeria both making their debuts.
Yeah.
And I have a trivia for you actually.
Oh yes, please. She's just slightly worried about Susie Bates, just playing slightly around that front pad, but just keep our eye on that. Yeah.
So it happened, I did the last under-19 World Cup as well, and Indonesia were making their debut at any World Cup, any age, level, gender. And that was the same with Samoa here. And actually one of their batters was out very first ball of their very first game in any World Cup of any level ever. What kind of duck is that?
Oh, I mean...
Because I thought the Indonesia... Because it happened to Indonesia as well. So I was like, oh, is it... I wanted to call it a unicorn duck.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was so rare. But then it happened again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And has anyone ever seen 2 unicorns?
Well, I'm not sure anyone's ever seen one. I think that's the very nature of the unicorn. It's a very good question, isn't it? Because what you're saying is it should go above and beyond the... is it a platinum duck? Is that the ultimate so far? I've had a Schrodinger's duck before.
Oh, what's that?
Well, that's when Jason Roy was out of the first ball of the match, stumped off a wide. So he was out for naught and faced no balls.
Love that.
And the score was 0 for 1 off 0.0. No, sorry, 1 for 1 off 0.0. Which was it was a really unfathomable scorecard.
Yes.
Like, why have you just added a run and a wicket before we've even started the game? You know, but that's what had happened. It was Essex, I think. I did feel for him.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, at Chelmsford, they
it does kick you in the face, this sport, doesn't it, sometimes?
Brutal, and we don't help.
No.
Because we talk about it for years afterwards.
Yeah, I'm still bringing up Indonesia.
But what is that duck? It's a good point. The very first game you ever played in any World Cup. Now then, spooned in the air. She's going to get away with this. She's very fortunate. Because she's gone for a bit of a shovel.
Yeah, it's a strange shot, this one, because she sort of pulled out of the shot halfway through it. She thought about it, came down the pitch at it, and never really committed to it. And actually, we could see her at the non-strikers rehearsing the shot. Well, if you'd done that, you would have got a bit more on it, but a bit of a top edge in the end.
So one of the things to look out for with Susie Bates, as we've all seen her bat for so many, many years. And don't remind me we've not seen her in a test match, because I'm going to remind you.
Yes.
Which is a scandal, but that's a conversation for another day. But what she can do sometimes, and often early in her innings, is do quite a bit of dancing around the crease, can't she? And there's a lot of effort to bring the leg side into play, which, when it works, is spectacular, but it does cause a certain amount of peril. Those stumps get brought into play. Occasionally the ball's not quite there for the shot she's trying to play. And that's something of an example of it. The ball before.
This is really good stuff from Surrey. They're not giving anything away. And look at that run rate, up over 7 at the moment. You won't be too worried just yet, but 2 wickets down, one of the big hitters in the captain. You do feel quite a lot of this could ride on Susie Bates, and then Maddie Vill is sort of playing that supporting role, keep her company.
There's also only 2 overs remain of the power play. Another wide though. That'll help. Every little bit helps at this stage.
Yeah, just creeping into this Monaghan over. You always wonder, just getting a bit tired. 4 overs in.
Well, a lot of T20 cricket is played, isn't it? And when you play T20 cricket, if you're a medium pacer, you don't usually bowl a 4-over spell.
No, perhaps not.
You actually become more used to bowling on 1-over and 2-over spells. And you're right, this over has been just a little bit messy. End of it, 41 for 2, 8 overs gone. Bates on 19. McDonald Gay's bowled unchanged from the... What were we told this was at the end? It wasn't Crystal Palace? Beckenham end.
The Beckenham end.
The Beckenham end, that's right.
Well, at least it's original.
Yes. You see that scorecard that tells you McDonald Gay, the taker of both wickets, 2 for 17 she's got in her 4 overs.
I still think there's a game to be had in naming ends and being original.
Yeah. Well,
City end I'm not having.
One of the most famous people to come from Beckenham. David Bowie was from not far from these parts, wasn't he?
Was he?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I just imagined that.
Does that mean we could start naming ends after Bowie songs?
Yeah, well, yes, exactly.
Yeah?
Yeah, Moon Age Daydream end.
That rolls off the tongue. Yeah.
Suffragette City end.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Starman end.
Nice. I'm sure someone would mention something about why is it man, but we won't fall down that rabbit hole.
Kooks end. Well, I'll tell you what, in order to have gender parity, that has been parried over the rope by a diving mid-on. Good firm stroke from Susie Bates. We could have Starman at one end and China Girl at the other.
Well, there you go. I'm here for this. Happy? I think N should be named after things related to famous people from those areas.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lovely on drive, but Fielder, having got there, might have hoped she'd got a slightly firmer mitt on it. Ends up pushing it.
It was one of those shots, it was for the bat maker, wasn't it? Just
Yeah.
hold the pose, full straight, get a full load of that one.
Thank you very much. And there's that shot again. She just gets sometimes slightly entangled as the front foot comes that little bit in front of her, and then trying to access the ball around the pad.
She almost makes it look like a better ball than it is,
Yeah.
because she cramps herself up, whereas it's actually, there is the space, but because she moves, she's moving into the line of the ball and towards the pitch of it, and then doesn't have the room herself. And as a person with very long limbs, if you then move towards something, I can get myself cramped up.
She has done there as well. I mean, the contrast between you take the on drive for 4, the second ball of the over, where her left foot is actually to the side of the ball, allowing her free access, and then she swings at it really beautifully and straight. And then the 2 balls after that, where maybe you've got to give some credit to McDonald Gage to come and touch straighter perhaps, but it's then made it difficult for Bates to access around that front pad. Again, very good fielding in the ring at short extra cover. Saves 3 runs. It's really getting quite hot now. Our table and whatnot in the shade here, was in the shade. Now it's very much in the sun. Our poor cameraman is frazzling out there. Someone needs to get him an umbrella.
I thought you were going to say a beer.
What, tequila sunrise?
Just
come
if
from
suddenly
the
the camera later.
Well, he's just come from the land of rum punch. So 6 runs off the over, 1 over remains in the power play. Durham 47 for 2. This in reply to Surrey's mammoth 348 for 6, featuring, was it just the 2 half centuries in the end? 2 30s,
Yes.
40, 20. Everybody got in, didn't they?
It was sort of Oprah, you get a run, that kind of situation.
You have a thrash. Yes.
What I also really enjoy that when you've got people who live with these flats behind here. I mean, how nice.
Handy, isn't it?
I mean, you haven't got the sun, but maybe you don't want the sun. You could just pop out, have a watch. I always think, see the ones at Bristol and I think, oh, you know, when I win the Euro Millions, which I did win this morning.
Oh, well done.
And I got this email that said, you've won a prize. And I was, oh, yes, in my head, I've already spent it. You know,
£2.79.
£2.79, yeah.
Yeah.
So I bought another ticket, obviously.
Yes, of course you did.
Yeah.
Well, there was a very amusing occasion, was there not? As Bryony Smith is going to come into the attack for the last over of the power play. I like this move from the skipper, sort of almost daring Maddie Villiers to come after her, because this is the last over of power play. After this, Villiers can go back. And Villiers has eschewed that delivery, but I think this will be an interesting one to see what Susie Bates' approach is here. Are we going to get the jump across the stumps in the attempt to whack over deep backward square? Square leg is up, isn't it? I think. We've got a deep mid-wicket and we've got a deep cover. And this is the sort of bowler that Susie Bates sometimes likes to take over deep square leg.
She doesn't look particularly comfortable, does she?
Not at the moment. Well, she's not at her fluent best yet, you wouldn't have said.
There's always time to be made up. We've seen what Susie Bates can do.
T20 World Cup winner, of course, in Dubai over the winter. Well, let's put that one away. Great use of the feet. Advancing, takes the ball on the full. And that'll do very nicely, thank you. 50 up, 52 for 2. And that's what I mean there. Her front foot is to the side of the ball, not at the ball, which allows her to swing her back through the line.
So we've had a message in from Jack Rule.
Oh, hello,
and he
Jack.
says, hello Jack.
Hello, Jack.
If your naming ends after Bowie songs, you need the Mars end. That way, when a player gets dropped, you have the line, they've been given a life on the Mars end. And Jack, you can have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good call. Yes, I'll take that.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you,
nice.
Jack.
We like that, Jack.
Well, this is the kind of invention that we want more of, isn't it?
Yes. Have something
ends.
quirky. You know,
Yeah,
cricket is always
quirky.
room for bits of quirk.
Yeah. Now, let us know, Jack, where are you watching your cricket? Have you been heading out to watch Lancashire or not? End of the power play, 52 for 2, 10 overs gone. He's a big Lancs fan, Manchester Originals fan, isn't he?
Lancs fan, yeah.
Yep. Glory hunter.
Don't know, not winning much, are they?
No, not at the moment, no.
Don't think Manchester Originals are winning anything. Says you, Mr. Surrey fan.
Well, he's my local team.
That's true. It's
Yeah,
mine too, but I'm a Yorkshire fan, so I don't know how we go for that.
You have absolutely no excuse. See, my mother was from Yorkshire, so I basically claim all the county championship titles won by Yorkshire and Surrey, which leaves pretty much not very many left after that.
Well, there you go. That's quite nice. You could cover the whole board.
Yeah. Now then.
That was very northern. That's very Yorkshire.
Now then, what have we here?
McDonald's.
She's going to continue out of the power play, having a 6th over on the trot. What's the thinking here? Now there is a sweeper for her because we are out of the power play. And Bryony Smith, is she using all of her boundary riding resources? Looks like it. We've got a deep third, long leg, deep backward square, and a deep cover. There was a feature of Durham. They didn't immediately go to 4 out. They just added an additional fielder in the 11th over of Surrey's innings.
So we have this one little section down to our left,
The blown
dear
glass.
listeners, where there's a bit of blown glass that you sort of have to look around because firstly, whoever hit that hit it very hard and very flat, but there's just this portion of the field for me is a view through shattered glass.
Yes, it's sort of wide, long on, isn't it? And the ball does go there. Oh, now then, is there a little tick on that? There is! Up goes the finger, and it's Susie Bates. It's a massive wicket. McDonald Gay banging it in short. Bates goes for the hook. And the umpire has adjudged there's a little tickle on that. And that is a significant breakthrough for Surrey. They picked up 2 in 2 earlier, and now McDonald Gay with a 3rd wicket. But the big wicket of the Kiwi legend that is Susie Bates. Might have been a bit of glove, perhaps.
Yeah.
No hesitation from the umpire, straight up.
No hesitation whatsoever. We thought maybe she just got away with this one, but it really kicked up, didn't it? We haven't seen too much spice out of this pitch today, and easily taken behind the sticks. And that's the end of Susie Bates, and that really is a blow for Durham. 348 was put up by Surrey, and McDonald Gay has 3 already today, and we were wondering, why is she staying on? She's got another.
Well, she really bent her back for that one, and Charlotte Edwards is in attendance today, apparently, having a look around and scouting. And I think she'll be delighted with what she's seen there. Phoebe Turner earlier in the day managed to get a couple ready to bounce. And she pinged a couple of bouncers at a couple of batters' heads. But that's the first time we've seen a wicket fall to it. And what a wicket it is as well. Susie Bates, who she wasn't looking at her imperious best, but she stays in for 10 or 15 overs on a surface like this. You could see her just batting through the innings, getting a match-winning 100.
That's the thing. We saw it with Sophia Dunkley earlier, didn't we? She wasn't comfortable for a bit and then got herself in and then looked very good.
Now, this is a really big tournament for Bess Heath, I think, because everybody knows about her acuity with the gloves. But as is always the case these days, wicket-keepers are expected to provide huge quantities of runs. Think Alyssa Healy, Beth Mooney, back in the day, Sarah Taylor. Amy Jones is very much being watched for that, in part for her productiveness with the bat. And if Bess Heath wants to be regularly in that conversation, and at the very least the number 1 understudy.
It's so tricky, isn't it? Because she's around the team all the time, but you wouldn't really bring her in as a specialist batter. So
No, you wouldn't have,
it's very tricky. Because Amy Jones is just above her in that pecking order, but she failed today with the bat.
Well, that's been brilliantly put away. And it's going to go out to deep mid-wicket for 4. And it's precisely that sort of shot that people like Charlotte Edwards are looking for, and it's precisely what this tournament is about. It's about people like Bess Heath taking that next stage in their development, playing against the best players and overseas players, and being really tested.
And you would think that if this over does start to leak runs, this will be the last one. You probably would have thought it would be the last one for McDonald Gay today anyway.
It's a pretty hot day anyway, as it is. Yeah, well, that's slipped out, hasn't it? And it's been called no ball. It's going to be a free hit. It's been hit for 4. Pretty much the worst possible outcome for McDonald Gay, having taken that wicket. It feels like there was just one ball too many, perhaps, in McDonald Gay's spell.
Yeah, and that's now going to be an extra one as well. So tricky. It's very tricky, especially when you stayed on for what you think was an extra over. It looked like it had been really successful. 1 dot, wicket dot, and then suddenly a 4 and a no ball 4.
I think Bryony Smith, though, will take the wicket of Susie Bates, even if she's ended up conceding, well, an extra 9 runs from the over that she otherwise might not have done. 62 for 3, 11 overs gone. Villiers 9. Bess Heath has 8 and 3 for 33. On a day like today, when basically the most effective bowlers we've seen, or at least the ones that have kept it quietest, have been Maddie Villiers of this world, to start with Catherine Fraser at the start of Surrey's innings. So for a seamer to come on and get 3 legitimate wickets there, I mean all wickets are legitimate, but not caught in the boundary, pinned LBW, nip back at a knockout middle stump, and then bouncing out Susie Bates. That is proper bowling.
That's proper bowling, that is. So Maddie Villiers, she's still out there. She's been kept very quiet. She's just sort of been keeping Susie Bates company, but we haven't really mentioned her name in a while. Susie Bates sort of taking most of the strikes. So 9 from 18 for Villiers, so needs to up this strike rate, and we're not going to have a change in bowler.
Powered. Surrey changes a bowler, powered by SSE Energy Solutions, who are our partners for Surrey bowling changes throughout this summer. So Kalia Moore in the attack, no slip in place. Short fine and short third, they're both up inside the ring. It's a deep mid wicket, deep backward square. And a deep point who's going to come straight into field down below us. So this is the next phase in this innings now. As you imagine, Surrey will unleash a fair bit of spin. They've got Alice Capsey to bowl as well.
I think it's about, then they'll start sort of clocking through those overs quickly, and suddenly 6 have gone.
Or in again, that's pulled out towards 2 fielders. Sweeping on the onside as a deep mid wicket and a deep square leg. For Durham, it's tricky, isn't it? Because what do you do here? Do you say, right, we've got a sort of 10 over period of not exactly retrenchment, you're looking at a runner ball, but where you're not getting too anxious about the boundaries, because you feel you can't really afford to take risks here. You had 2 wickets to that total, suddenly 65 for 5, and you're as good as dead and buried, chasing 348.
And actually, you know, someone who is very good in this kind of situation would be the absent Emily Windsor.
I know, yeah.
She's very good at navigating these sort of periods of play.
Oh, Emily, take up thy bed and walk. Perhaps don't do that if you've only just had the hip operation.
We don't need a hip 3.0. I don't think that's a thing.
No.
We'll take a sequel, but we don't want a trilogy.
Here, here.
Poor old Rana McDonald-Gay. She's just finished her spell, and now she's legging it around.
It's always the way, isn't it? Go on, fast bowler.
Yeah.
Go out and graze. They never graze.
Oh,
It's
no.
the opposite of graze. They charge around like 1-0. Meanwhile, one of the batters is at short mid-wicket. So 8 runs off the over, a productive one. Kaylee Moore's first over, 69.70 is it for 3, 70 for 3. 12 overs have gone, he's 14. Villiers has 11. It's been a good start for Surrey, but I say it's still fine batting conditions. There's time for there to be more twists and turns. More from Georgie Heath, and then it'll be Cameron Ponsonby.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, you would feel that it was actually that wicket of Susie Bates really will make Surrey feel very comfortable in this. She looked like she did mean business at times, but just not quite reading it right. Always time to get herself back in. And we are going to have a change of bowler again. Captain Bryony Smith, SSE Energy Solutions, powering the change of bowler. So Captain bringing herself back on again as Cam Ponsonby slides in elegantly into the seat next to me, in the hot seat, literally.
Thank you very much. I had to take an extended break there to go and get my sunglasses, which is very exciting. A lot of cricket there for a dot ball. Bryony Smith into her second over. I'm very pleased with these new sunglasses, Georgie, so you need to be nice about them.
Yeah, I like the little bit of tortoise shell on the arms.
Stifled appeal from Bryony Smith as she gets deflection back onto the stumps at the non-striker's end. And I bought them in Barcelona.
Oh, Barcelona.
Very exciting. I believe that's the official pronunciation.
Yeah, can't you tell that I'm actually Spanish? You can tell by my accent.
This time Bess Heath does get the single she deserves. And I was trying on sunglasses. I'm not a great shopper. I tried these one on, and the very glamorous Spanish woman said they look like they were made for me.
Oh.
And so I bought them immediately.
Was she working for the
she
company?
Was,
yes,
yeah. Half a hand at cover. Only succeeds in deflecting the ball away to mid-off. Maddie Villiers with one.
So just walking around the boundary in front of us is Alice Capsey. So she's not out on the field. I don't know, is she walking a little gingerly?
I'd say that's very gingerly.
I mean, I always walk gingerly.
An appeal for LBW given. Villiers on the sweep. Forward to having a replay. It's Beth Heath, beg your pardon. And Smith finds herself in the wickets column, and Durham's run chase and task gets that bit more difficult. They slip to 72 for 4.
Very tame. It's sort of come out of nowhere, this one. We were distracted by Alice Capsey and her injury, but this one just straightened on her. I mean,
see a replay here from behind the batter. Wait for potentially the reverse angle there. To have another look. Playing across the line, always deems dangerous.
So this is really trouble stations now for the away side here. Find themselves 4 for 72 inside 13 overs. And then, as we were saying, it was sort of an opportunity for Bess Heath. We know she's a big striker of the ball, and chance to sort of put her name back in that England fold rather than just carrying the drinks and wandering around with the squad for a while, get herself on a team sheet. But she has to go. Brings Leah Dobson out to the middle, who's been prolific in the field.
Busiest fielder I've ever seen, I think, across 50 overs. She was sprinting up and down that far boundary edge. Took 3 catches, 2 of which were quite unusual boundary catches, which was out at cover point on the boundary. Caught both Sophia Dunkley and Danny White-Hodge. But one to keep an eye on. Potentially we'll be hearing more about that later from Surrey. So Alice Capsey, with a quite pronounced limp, was wandering round in front of us. Dobson starts her innings with a solid block. That ends Smith's second over. Her figures are 1 for 7 after 2. And after 13 overs, the score is 72 for 4. So she's not taken the field, Alice Capsey that is, for Surrey's fielding innings. Tilly Courtine-Coleman is on in place of her.
Another double-barrelled surname for the Surrey side today. Can't keep him out. She's an exciting youngster though, Tilly Courtine-Coleman. Sort of another one of those that rocketed to fame in the 100 last year, playing down at Southern Brave. Obviously we saw Alice Capsey really light up the 100 in the first season as a teenager. Problem I have now though, after this 14-year-old hitting a century the other day,
Yes.
you seem old if you're 16, you're past it, you've got your grey hairs.
Well, this is it. I've been kind of reminding myself how young so many of these players are, the likes of the so-called seasoned professionals. Likes of Capsey, she's been around for ages, 20 years old.
Yeah.
Izzy Wong, been around for ages,
Yeah.
22 years old. Suryavanchi's got a whole decade until he's 24. It's well played by Villiers. Works the ball into the leg side for a single. Durham in a real pickle here, not just for how many wickets they have lost in 4, but that required run rate. That's a hell of a word to say.
I find it so hard.
I thought I got away with it until I saw you look at me. I went,
No, I can't get my mouth around required run rate. It's just no.
So which one of those played
Yeah, that's pushing up to 7.6 now. That target, we thought 348 was well above par, didn't we? And actually, I thought someone like Susie Bates was going to be doing the heavy lifting.
More fine work by Kaylee Moore. Well, Durham have had a very split start to their season, so they beat Essex very convincingly by 9 wickets, chasing 180. Moore just wants to skid on to finish her over. Just 1 run off the 14th over. Score 73 for 4. But when you win by 9 wickets, the thing is, no one else has a go. So just Bates and Armitage scored heaps of runs between them. I think Bates got herself finished on 93 not out. And they collapsed in a bit of a heap in their second match. So 2 matches, 1 win, 1 loss.
It's always something I find interesting, especially in tournament play as well. So sometimes you see World Cups and openers and number 3 and 4, they sort of do it all. And then when you get further down the line and suddenly you lose a few wickets early, the others think, all I've done is have a net all
No one's
tournament."
played.
And then you think, wow, now I've actually got to pull my finger out when it really matters.
Bryony Smith looking the part here. Sunny's on, zinc across her cheeks. She wallops a full toss and she should be struck for 4, and she is. Villiers gives it the treatment it deserves.
Yeah, it's not the best ball Bryony Smith will have bowled in her career. It's just full toss, just on that leg side, and it was there to be hit.
She was wiping the ball against her forehead before she was
It's not going to
on
make
that
it less slippy, I can tell you that.
It's a very firmly struck defensive shot. It was well intercepted by Schofield at mid-on. Another dot ball. Monaghan in the high traffic position of mid-wicket. It's become very commonly, it's almost a cliche in the modern cricketing parlance. High traffic positions.
High traffic, I like it.
She gets leg side. Villiers sweeps that well behind square and picks up 4.
No, I like this from Maddie Villiers because wickets are falling around her and she's sort of been kept quiet, but she's not just sort of sitting in. She is taking on these bad balls. There have been a few. It's not been Bryony Smith's best over. This one straying down that leg side there to be swept. Villiers is not.
Well, she's capitalised on Smith's erring in length and line. There goes to sweep again. It's into the gap. They might try and take on McDonald Gay's arm. They decide better of it. So just the 1 run. So Smith missed with her length, bowled the full toss, and missed with her line. She snuck one down the leg side. And Villiers was quick to capitalise on both. Dobson yet to get off the mark, facing the final ball of Smith's third over. She tucks the ball up to long on for one. That brings to an end the 15th over. The score is 83 for 4.
Yeah, tricky this period for Durham, because they can't afford to just sit back and sort of try and build a partnership here and just scratch away, because they are getting behind on that required rate, up at 7.6 still. I mean, plenty of overs still in hand, but 4 wickets down, and they haven't got, it's not like they bat all the way down to 11. So you feel like this is a very key partnership. Dobson needs to just get herself going. Villiers, it's well set.
Another single to the total. I think you could be very greedy for the next 10 to 15 overs if you are either Villiers or Dobson. Yeah, the batting conditions are perfect here at Beckenham. If you just have a bit of a net yourself, try and not let that run rate get above 8. And you'll put time into the game and got your team a bit closer. Cut away. Villiers should get at least 2, if not 4. The ball's going to be intercepted by Danny Gregory. You see a lot of runs in that kind of pocket of the field at both ends of the pitch, where the ball beats backward point to their right hand side and spins away from cover point's left hand side. Villiers is able to pick up 2. She moves on to 24. This time she finds cover. I don't mean to alarm any of the viewers or listeners back home, but the sun is directly in our eyes at the moment. We're struggling to see things.
Yeah.
I think I've always thought of seeing things as a luxury rather than a necessity in commentating. That's a hoik into the leg side.
We're not going to complain though. We will take a sunny day at Beckenham rather than a sort of hot water bottle required situation, huddled in the rain in the corner.
I'm very much enjoying it. I'm kind of making sure to expose the particularly pale parts of my body to the sun. You've just come from Sydney. You don't need any of this.
No, I mean I'm loving this, but also seeing it would be optimal, really.
Another fine over from Moore. Comes to an end, just 4 runs off it. Dobson on 2 off 8. Villiers unbeaten on 25. End of the 16th over. Durham at 87-4. Villiers got 45 in Durham's last match, or potentially the opening match. I'll need to double check. We'll have a look at the worm. We'll see Durham on pace with the run rate, or following suit of where Surrey had been. But the wickets lost are the problem, and you'll see towards the end of Surrey's innings that uptick in runs. The Worms flies through the top of the graph, take them almost all the way to 350. Beautiful shot from Villiers, but she strikes it cleanly, but she strikes it straight to Paige Schofield at long on. And just when you thought Durham might have been settling in with Maddie Villiers looking very good, their 5th wicket falls.
Yeah, this is a real problem now for Durham. Villiers was the set batter. Dobson struggling to get going, not had a lot to face, and Paige Schofield, she is not going to drop that. She barely had to move, actually. And it just went straight down her throat. Made such a good noise off the bat. I thought, as it went, I was like, right, here we go. Now really putting the foot on the accelerator. This is going all the way, but just falling short. And Bryony Smith has this tendency to just take wickets. Paige Schofield sat perfectly. She knew exactly where that rope was behind her.
No, you're right. The sound of Villiers' bat, and for all of us, including myself, believed it must have been sailing for 6, but Villiers struck it sweetly, but she struck it flat. And Schofield Sorry for any technical difficulties. Just been experienced. The sun is out so much at Beckenham. It's so hot and so glorious. Our entire commentary console overheated. If that's not an advert to come down and watch it live, I don't know what is. So Turner turns the ball to mid-on. And not only is there a change in commentary mixer, Georgie Heath has left departed in source of hydration, and Yaz Rana has come and joined me. Turned around the corner from Turner. They think about two, but decide against it.
Surrey were a lot of people's favourites for the competition going in to the new regional domestic structure.
Oh, so close to a 6th wicket. Dobson managed to play all round that delivery from Smith. I forward to seeing the replay. Smith still on all haunches in disbelief. Thought she was going to be caught, stumped, bowled, any of the above. But she lives to fight another day. Turner now on strike.
Yeah, tidy spell this from the skipper Smith. 1 ball left in her 5th over, 2 for 20 so far.
Another very tidy over comes to an end. Just 1 run off the bat from that over, so Smith's figures now stands at 2 for 20 after 5.
Yeah, I was just going to say that Surrey favourites in many people's eyes before the One Day Cup started, and it's been a quiet start. Winless in their first 2 games, after their first 2 games. But here, showing everyone exactly why so many people fancy them for the title.
That was a very disappointing start for Surrey. Winless from their first 2, and winless against 2 of the kind of potentially less fancied teams in the competition. Here they are showing their class. The relentlessness of their batting lineup. Real quality. I was speaking to a gentleman here earlier who made the point that Surrey are probably the only team in the country whose both men's and women's top 6 are made up entirely of internationals. That's a beautiful shot from Dobson. She might get 4. McDonald Gay is in pursuit, but is unable to cut off the ball. That takes Durham to 98.
Yeah, really good chase from McDonald Gay, who has been asked to do a lot of chasing on the offside boundary, which is not something you often see for an opening bowler. Especially one who's done such a good job so far in this Durham run chase.
Well defended from Dobson, who herself was very busy on that same boundary, well, the opposite end side of the ground, but sprinting around the deep cover point region.
I think you actually see it quite a lot in white ball cricket when you have a particularly strong batting lineup. They sometimes have to get used to using each other's strengths, if that makes sense. Sometimes you feel like, well, there's someone else who can do the job. You don't quite back with the same responsibility that you might otherwise do. And I'm not saying that that's what happened so far in Surrey's campaign, but it's something we see in white ball cricket around the world, both in women's and men's cricket. And I thought the real key to Surrey putting up such an imposing total was the way in which Capsey and Dunkley managed to score a good rate, but without taking too much risk.
Oh, that's a play and a miss to end the over. It's more than a play and a miss, it's out, it's bowled. Such was the lack of reaction, it's tricked us up here in the commentary box. And Phoebe Turner's got to go.
Yeah, from the reaction of all the fielders of the bowler, no one really moved. But yeah, a very full delivery from Gregory. And that's her first wicket of the afternoon. Or more, rather.
So we'll see the replay here. Kaylee Moore, I believe, has got very full. And Phoebe Turner has played over the top of it. I think Kaylee Moore can allow herself a bit more of a celebration, at least for our own sake, for up here. This will be the best replay. It's actually, we've done her a disservice there. It's a very fine delivery. Kaylee Moore's known for the kind of really turning, getting a lot of spin on our off breaks. And there's a fine example of that. A lot of dip, so that full length that Turner was expecting was just dipped underneath the bats, taking the stumps. That's reminded me of a couple of years ago, in the Men's County Championship, they had green bails, and it was incredibly irritating because you'd be commentating and the ball would kind of just kiss the outside of off stump, and a green bail against a green background would very gently drop to the floor, and you'd have absolutely no idea. Scotland's Catherine Fraser comes to the crease. And we have a change of bowler, powered by SSE Energy Solutions. We've got the leg spin of Danny Gregory, who's going to bowl from the Beckenham end. Just showing off my new and improved knowledge, thanks to the ground staff here at Beckenham for correcting us earlier on our incorrect terminology that we'd been provided by erstwhile sources. It's a very fine start. Don't really know what the word erstwhile means, to be honest, but it felt right.
What's the game plan here for Dobson and Fraser? They are a long way off. 250 required from less than 30 overs, only 4 wickets in hand.
It's just bat. Rocks back, and she will
Great
get
shot.
4 runs, a straight pull. Dobson adds 4 more to her tally to take her into double figures. I think, as defeatist as it may sound, there is value in timing the wicket for both these batters. And all that can be done, as we see a drop in length by Gregory. Dobson very quick to get back. Bat for as long as you can, bat for as long as, more importantly, you like. And full toss is given the treatment. 1 bounce over the rope. So a loose start here by Gregory. Short ball followed up with a full toss. And Dobson has put both deliveries away convincingly.
Yeah, really good power on display on both occasions. Mid-on had moved back to long-on, but Dobson was able to find the elevation to get the ball over mid-off.
It's very well bowled from Gregory. Very difficult line there. You're not quite sure how much the ball's going to spin, if it's going to skid on into your pads. Hanging in at about middle and leg stump. Dobson's able to drop the bat on it. Take 1 into the leg side. 2 balls remain of this over. And Catherine Fraser readies herself for her first delivery. Catherine Fraser is part of the Scotland setup. And you spoke to Mr. Snell recently, who's heavily involved in the administrative side of Scottish cricket. And they, after failing to qualify for the World Cup, who's explaining to you that they're no longer able to afford to host Pakistan in a bilateral series, which seems like a loss for all involved.
Yeah, so there's not really a future tours programme as Fraser defends the final ball of the over. Durham 108.46. So there's not a future tours programme in the same way in the women's game as there is for the men's game. So after Scotland didn't qualify for the World Cup and they only just missed out, so had they beaten Ireland by a decent margin, and they were in a good position to do so, having scored 260 from their 50, they would have qualified for an 8-team World Cup. So the women's 50th World Cup is an 8-team event, 2 fewer than the men's showpiece event. Having not qualified, they didn't have any scheduled cricket anyway. Pakistan, who hosted the qualifying tournament, have expressed interest in touring Scotland this summer. But Scotland are unable to afford to host an international series, and this isn't the first time we've seen this in international cricket. Ireland rather have had to move series.
Moore gets wide, it's strongly cut. McDonald Gay does her best, but isn't quite enough to prevent that ball going to the boundary. That's an attempted arm ball from Moore there, which just stays straight And Dobson, having got off to a bit of a slow start, has found the boundary on 4 occasions in the last handful of overs. You see here, just wrapping her wrist around that delivery. But gets wide. And McDonald Gay there. A fine effort of 4 runs.
Yeah, if you're just joining us and you're wondering, is this a 248 or 50 overs pitch, or is it a 112 for 6 pitches? I can assure you it's closer to a 348 pitch. So
Yes.
Conditions still very, very good for batting. Excellent pitch, rapid outfield, relatively small boundaries. But yeah, so Scotland are unable to afford to host a home series, basically. And the point that Snell was making was that why are Scotland treated almost as like a second-tier nation in women's cricket? They qualified for they qualified for the T20 World Cup.
Cut again. Misfilled by Danny Gregory at short third. Should allow Durham to get back for 2.
Yeah, they qualified for the T20 World Cup in the UAE towards the end of 2024. They've only just missed out on qualification for an 18 World Cup. They're not a full member, so they don't get the funding that comes with full member status, which is understood to be around in between 10 and 15 million pounds a year. So even a nation like Ireland, who are not,
Wow, okay.
they're not a particularly rich board themselves, they have a significantly more heftier payment each year from the ICC.
Seeing a slight shift in plan to Fraser. Tilly Courtine-Coleman runs across from backward point to short fine leg. And Fraser makes the most of that gap to bunt the ball out to McDonald Gay on the boundary edge. She gets off the mark. It's the end of Moore's 6th over. 8 runs off it. At the end of the 22nd over, the score is 116 for 6.
So it's a difficult one for the development of Scottish players. So I know someone like Fraser, she's involved in county cricket, and there are quite a few Scotland players involved in the domestic English game at the moment, but not all of them are. So players who were on the brink of qualifying for an 18 World Cup now have no meaningful cricket scheduled. Literally, there's not something on the horizon that's there about to come up. So Megan McCall, for example, had a very decent qualifying campaign in the Scotland middle order. She doesn't have a county contract. She has no professional cricket lined up at all at the moment.
It's an incredibly difficult situation. Or is it difficult, or is there an open goal that's being missed? Edged, and that could run away for 4. It's very quick down in that direction. And indeed, unable to be cut off. That's 4 more runs to Fraser.
Well, I think we know that there's a lot of money in cricket at the moment.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's being spread in the way that encourages the development of teams outside those that are already the richest, is the point that Snell would make.
Takes the outside edge of Fraser's bat again. Good think about 2, but it's intercepted by Sophia Dunkley, who comes racing in off the boundary. Then furthest away from us, it's still an absolutely beautiful day here in Beckenham. See the Crystal Palace Tower. Is that the official name, Crystal Palace Tower? Looming over the... Well, there's 2 of them. Oh my goodness me, I'm going to need some fact checking here. Beckenham ground staff will be able to help me out. I've lived in South London all my life, and I've been thrown by apparently 2 Crystal Palace Towers, which I know for a fact is incorrect. Daniel, do you know which one is Crystal Palace Tower?
Crystal Palace Tower.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace Tower.
No, but the aerial. I'm now having a conversation with someone off mic, which is always good. 3 balls left of Gregory's over. Daniel Norcross was of no help whatsoever. Snuck down the leg side for a wide.
But yeah, to Scotland's predicament, it feels like there's an absence of leadership in the game, really. The ICC are a governing body by name only, really, and I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding around what the ICC actually is.
Ball sneaks off the inside edge of Fraser's bat this time and allows him to scamper through for 1. 2 balls of the over remain.
the ICC essentially is the collection of the full member nation boards, not a totally separate governing body. So it is almost literally not in their interest to be promoting the game in countries that currently don't receive full member funding.
One run driven down to long off. But could you not make the case that it is in the ICC's interest to potentially expand the number of full members? Because the more members they have, that sounds better. If you've got a bigger club, often a bigger club sometimes thought to be a better club.
100%. Snell makes the argument that there shouldn't be the full member, associate member distinction that exists in cricket.
Dot ball to finish the 23rd over. The score is 125 for 6. Fraser on 7. Dobson on 25.
And the pertinent point around women's cricket in particular is that full membership is dished out almost entirely on performance in men's cricket. If you were to give funding based to the best performing 12 women's team, Scotland 100% would get it. So there's the ICC Women's Championship that provides part of the qualification process on one side, but also gives a lot of cricket to women's countries in between major tournaments. Zimbabwe are going to be in that, when based on their record as a women's side, they shouldn't really get it ahead of a team like Scotland.
Just having a change of bowling here, as ever brought to you by SSE Energy Solutions. We're going to see Alice Davidson-Richards for the first time this afternoon with ball in hand. Using the... I actually don't know what Davidson-Richards would say her second string is. I imagine she'd say her premier strength and skill is with the bat. She's a very fine bowler in her own right. She starts on the money. The ball bunted up to long on. There's Paige Schofield. Fields cleanly.
I think given how well she's gone with the bat in the last year or so, it'd be quite hard to say that batting wasn't her strongest suit. You were reading off recent scores in domestic 50 over cricket.
That's an excellent point. She sneaks one down the leg side.
I think she'd have to be averaging about
15,
probably single figures with the ball for bowling to be her strongest suit at the moment, given her batting form.
Defended off the back foot by Fraser. 7 off 8. Davidson-Richards. 2 legal deliveries into her day's work, afternoon's work today. The sun beating down, Surrey in their all black kit. It's going to be warm out there in the middle. Pulled short. Away to the leg side. Is the fielder underneath it? No. We're waiting for the signal. That's a fantastic pull shot by Catherine Fraser, who got well underneath the ball. The ball travelled a mile up into the air. And I believe it's MacDonald Gay on the boundary who went sprinting off in pursuit of it. Such was her enthusiasm.
I think it was Alex Monaghan.
It was Alice Monaghan
On the leg side boundary.
I'd been surprised if MacDonald Gay had been doing the miles to go from one boundary edge to the other, but such was her enthusiasm to get underneath the ball. I thought she was in with a chance. So the ball sailed away, and it's 4 runs. Pulled again. That'll be intercepted on the field, but ball's kicked away by the fielder. Allows Durham to get back for 2.
It's a handy little partnership this from Durham. 34 added between Fraser and Dobson in fewer than 4 overs. So they are actually going at around the run rate that is required. The issue is they've only got 4 wickets in hand and they've still got 200 and 16 to get, which is a lot.
I think despite what happened here a week ago against Somerset, there shouldn't be any Surrey jitters at this stage. They're still well in control of this match. Davidson Richards celebrates to the sky as she was able to nail her line and length. She's got to be the most expressive player in the professional game. I mentioned this to a colleague of ours on commentary last week. There's a video that Surrey put together of the kind of start of the women's setup. There's a video of Davidson Richards, just a 3-second snippet. Short, wide. Fraser fails to connect at the end of the 24th over. The score is 133 for 6. There's a 3-second snippet where you see her pretending to practice a putt with an orange stump in the indoor hall at the Ken Barrington Centre. And even in her hypothetical putting, she misses and then she throws a stump down on the ground. And I enjoyed it quite a lot. And with that anecdote, I'll hand over from myself to Daniel Norcross. And in the meantime, Yaz Rana will impart some more words of wisdom.
Yeah, as encouraging as this partnership is for Durham, Surrey are so on top in this game. That new ball burst from Ryan and McDonald-Gay, accounting for the entirety of the top three, including Holly Armitage first ball, has basically meant that Surrey are overwhelming favourites, even though we were fairly early in the Durham run chase. And even though, as I said, batting conditions are still very good.
That run rate hasn't actually gone up a bit for a little while, as these two have started to get a foothold. But yes, the problem is that 349 is a lot of runs to get. And had that hit, it would have felt even further away, because you fancy that she wouldn't have got home there, Fraser. I was listening to you talking about money and the amount of money that boards needed and what have you, and sometimes when you hear these sums of money, it's quite hard to be able to put them into context, but let me just try to give our watchers a little idea of money. Oh, I say, that's beaten everything. That's a super bit of bowling from Danny Gregory. She's got that ball actually to turn, go past the outside edge. It bamboozled Kira Chatley as well behind the stumps. As we see this again, this has been landed absolutely perfectly. It's missed the off stump by a whisker. It's not turned a lot, but enough. Oof, oof, oof. I know, oof. But by a cruise.
I think Chatley might have thought that
that
ball's going to hit the stumps.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You often see that balls that narrowly miss the stumps go for byes. I think because the keeper assumes that that's where the ball's going to hit. They assume that they're not needed.
Yes. Oh, I say, beats about again. Fraser lucky not to get a little edge on that. But just to go back to the money thing. So I was, after the 100 sell-off, it hasn't been all confirmed yet, has it? But the sums of money have been agreed, even if the terms have yet to be fully signed, delivered, and all that. And I was trying to understand what £29 million means to a county. So I spent what I would never normally do. I leave this to the hardcore journalists who have made their pact with the devil, who are willing to read endless reams of financial statements. And I thought, no, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to see what you guys put yourselves through. And I think I hunted down, before I go on, just take a look at that. You'll notice there is no Alice Capsey. She has not come out to field. So Bryony Smith is just having to juggle her resources a little bit here. As a result, she's probably bowled slightly more overs than she might have imagined, but it's picked up 2 for 20. McDonald-Gay, the standout bowler, with 3 for 33. His drinks are brought out. Kelly Moore, 6 overs, 1 for 29. Danny Gregory just getting into her work. 3 overs, none for 21. So there are options there for Bryony Smith. You imagine Davidson Richards is going to do a fair bit of bowling, but it's not really quite the pitch for her. You see there, Dobson, 28 not out. She's top scoring here for Durham, joint with Susie Bates, who was out to a wonderful bit of bowling, a bouncer from McDonald Gay that she got a bit of glove to through the Chatley. And there is your match summary. Surrey very much in the box seat, with Durham needing 212 from 25 overs, basically 8.5 and over. But to go back to the Durham accounts.
You were talking about doing serious work.
I was talking about doing serious work, which I'm mostly allergic to. And are we about to be turned off and on again? No, just slight concerns about the heat. Yes, because it is very hot. It's very hot out there. Derbyshire's turnover in their last financial statement. Do you want to try and have a guess? This is turnover. So all the money that they get in, and then their profit is obviously derived from how much they then have to pay out.
In your question, are you including the money they get from the ECB?
I'm including what's in their accounts. And presumably that has to go in there as well.
7 million, 8 million.
I think it was 5.5.
And a lot of that will be, I think
it'd be about 1.3 from the ECB. Perhaps.
Possibly even more. Yeah.
Now, if I then tell you that I think their profit, and they made a profit, well played to them, made a profit of £100,000, nearest damn it. £29 million represents 290 years of profit, and it represents the best part of 6 years of turnover. Those are really significant sums of money.
Yeah,
at the same time, I asked football journalist Philippe Auclair, what is the average salary for a Premier League footballer? He said the average salary last year was 3.2 million, average, right? So there are roughly, 450, 500 Premier League footballers that would be being counted up in that, perhaps slightly more. So if the average is 3.2 million, you know that there's probably about between 80 and 120 of them are getting paid £5 million or more. So they're getting paid the annual turnover of Derby. Now the sums of money that you were talking about just then, that a country needs in order to exist, 15 million? You talking about 10 to 15 million, I think you were talking about?
Yeah, so that's not necessarily just running costs, that is what you get for being a full member.
Which is what you could pay 3 Premier League footballers average salaries for. But also is about 2.5 times what each of the counties is going to get from selling off the 100. And when you think about the amount of money that the ICC receives from, and you're right to say it's not a governing body so much as an events management company, isn't it?
That represents the interests of the full member nations.
Full member nations, yeah.
That comprise the board, yeah.
You would think there'd be quite a lot swilling about from the rights to this, that and the other. And so you can kind of understand, as this first ball after drinks break is a wide, you can understand this, I call it bitterness, but the understandable annoyance that we're not talking about a huge amount of money in order for an entire country to be able to get onto something more like an equal footing with the teams they play against. One of the good things about the 100 sell-off, in my view, is that suddenly Worcestershire, Northants, Derbyshire, Sussex, Kent, Essex, some are very well-run clubs, and some of them don't strictly speaking need the money, but they will have enough money to underwrite their operations for decades to come. From a sudden injection of, is it 500 million pounds into the English game, and we're talking about trying to find 15 to make Scotland actually function on something more like a level footing to everybody else. Doesn't seem a lot, does it?
No, it doesn't. I think on the cash injection in the county game, the idea is that's not there just to pay for debts.
No.
The idea is that money is there for counties to invest and essentially future-proof themselves.
That squirts away. It might make it all the way to the boundary. It won't. Very well cut off. They'll get back for a couple. I mean, what it will do, though, when you look at some of these clubs and you see that they are servicing a debt, they might be able to remove a sizable amount of that, and then that makes
100%.
that puts someone on sure
100%.
footing going forward. Yorkshire is a club that comes to mind there,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
No, 100%. And I think there will be a very different conversation around what the scheduling in the men's game will be with all this extra money. I think
It's very well fielded by Alice Davidson Richards.
when the conversation has been had before, so much has been on the urgency from a financial perspective, as to counties having a 7th home game in the Blast, for example, because for the counties that don't host international cricket regularly, every day of T20 cricket is a money-making opportunity. So they sort of look at it as, well, okay, it might be worse for the players and might lead to a...
Ooh, slower ball, rather loops, and is then put away really very well by Dobson, who's going along nicely here on 34, given a bit of a gift there, but she's dispatched.
So
Yeah, I mean, to get back to that point is what I'm really interested in, is that 2 T20 match days at home, and it's another reason for sort of looking at Derbyshire's turnover of 5 million. That's not going to be a massively significant amount of their annual turnover, and now they've got £29 million coming their way. It seems to me that you might be able to make the argument to reduce the number of Blast games from 14 to 10 a little bit more comfortably.
I think that is what is going to happen. Maybe not next year, but certainly the year after that.
And keep 4-day cricket intact. Because England's finances, 146 for 60 under 26 overs, are a lot more dependent on the vivacity of the Test match game, certainly the men's Test match game, because that is the biggest cash cow in the country, pretty much.
But this is where I think boards like the ECB and Cricket Australia are missing a trick here and not investing in the countries that don't currently have much of the game's wealth. I think we saw last summer for the first time in both the men's and women's game, it was a relatively low-key home international summer. So we have a change of the bowling attack. The star of the opening spell of the Surrey run defence, Rana McDonald-Gay, is back in his act. Of course, it's a change of bowler powered by SSE Energy Solutions. We saw last summer that you need a strong international game to be able to sell tickets and for broadcast deals to be worth as much as home boards, ECB, Cricket Australia, want it to be. And I think with all this money swirling about the higher echelons of the game, I sort of challenge people who have power, who are involved in the decision-making processes. What do you want the game to look like in 10, 15 years' time?
Well, sometimes you wonder if they ever really think in those terms, and whether they think purely in terms of how much money they think they might be able to extract from the game, and then you're forced into running around in your head with Gideon Haig's great aphorism, does cricket exist to make money, or does it make money to exist?
The debate is often a lot more nuanced than it is made out, certainly if you look online. And take the 100, for example. I'm not going to get into a discussion around the merits and relative merits and the pros and cons
we've litigated that to death.
of the 100.
Yeah.
But what cannot be denied is that it has brought into the game an extraordinary amount of money that, all things being well, will future-proof the county game, which for a very long time, well before the 100 was even being discussed internally.
That's been put away really nicely. Found the gap between long leg and deep square leg. A little bit of a drag down from McDonald-Gay, but this partnership is flourishing now. 150 up, 151 for 6th. Durham still a long way from really feeling that they're up there and with Surrey, but needs to start somewhere, and it's starting with this excellent partnership.
Well, as McDonald-Gay is hit for 4, I think she's almost showing how valuable her new ball burst was.
Yeah.
Because we saw in the Surrey innings that wickets only really fell when Surrey took an aggressive option that didn't quite work, whereas McDonald-Gay was able to prize out the entirety of that Durham top 3
LBW
dismissing,
bowled and caught off a bouncer.
Exactly. She created wicket-taking moments.
I wonder if she might slip a short one in here. No, she's off the slower ball. End of the over, 5 from it, 151 for 627 gone.
And in games like this, quite often, when you're defending 350, you might think, okay, as a bowling attack, you want to be defensive. You want to. Your first priority is to squeeze, exactly. Yes. Whereas actually, the most effective way of keeping the runs down is taking wickets at regular intervals and
inducing some panic.
Exactly, getting rid of someone like Holly Armitage, who's in great form, and Susie Bates so early on in their innings. That's the most effective way of ensuring that Durham have an outside at best charts. But worth saying, Fraser and Dobson going very well here, and as you mentioned 10 or so minutes ago, that required run rate isn't really going up.
No, it's just 8.6. I mean, 8.6 is a lot when you've only got 4 wickets in hand and you've got to keep it going for 23 overs. But we keep on saying it is a belter of a pitch. It's a very fast outfield. Surrey are missing a frontline bowler, you'd say. Alice Capsey in this lineup is a frontline bowler, so there is a little bit of vulnerability as Kalia Moore is back in the attack. Change of bowler, powered by SSE Energy Solutions.
Back onto the Scotland point, there are two strands of it with Scotland. One is the broader financial inequalities of international cricket that Scotland are directly affected by. And I think that sometimes those in power hide behind almost financial philosophies of how the world works and act as if they don't have any agency in being able to change that.
Yes.
So there's that, which affects Scotland's men's team, women's team, but also a lot of full member nations as well, who do not receive large sums of money from the ICC proportionally. But there's a second separate side that affects the Scotland women's team in particular, in that it's not clear as a cricket team, as a national women's cricket team, what they're supposed to do to get the funding, because full membership is basically based entirely off what your men's team do. Look at Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Thailand qualified for a 10-team Women's World Cup a few years ago. I've never seen anyone suggest that they ought to be ICC full members. Whereas if the other way around happened, I'm sure there would be clamour for that. Same with Scotland and what they're doing in women's cricket at the moment in particular.
What would suggestion be then, that actually a little bit like why are electricity prices linked to gas prices? Why can't you have full member women's teams?
Well, that was just the analogy I was thinking about.
Was it?
No. Well, I increasingly think that the hard boundary of full member and not full member is unhelpful for teams just outside it.
I think it can be quite unhelpful for teams that get it as well.
That is also true. I think it's just
because
so
you think
arbitrary.
about Irish players and the previous ability to move and play within the English setup, which allowed the likes of Paul Sterling to play a very long and lucrative career at Middlesex. Now he's an overseas player, you know.
No, 100%.
155 for 6, 22 overs remain. We've got bowling changes left, right and centre. So Monaghan back in the attack with 22 overs remaining. So that was just a 1 over burst from McDonald Gate on a warm day. Just ringing the changes here. Bryony Smith looking for the breakthrough. Now that's gone up. And it's gone, just inside the rope, around about a yard inside the rope down at long on. It did have long on a bit interested, had deep square leg interested. Danny White Hodge, but that's really nicely played. Got underneath that quite deliberately.
Yeah, it's a genuine hook. If you look at the angle of the bat, very much directed upwards from Fraser.
I don't mind what Monaghan's done there though. Start with a bouncer, just try something out, and she wasn't a million miles from getting the top edge or that landing in Longleg's hands. She goes again. Oh, and very nearly spoons a catch to mid wicket. So Monaghan's making things happen here.
Yeah, the way I'd describe what she's done with her first 2 balls, she's bowling to her field, and to me it's not that different to with a new ball inducing an edge that goes just wide of slip.
It's a plan, though. It's a plan to Fraser, because Dobson's now on strike, and long leg has come up to fine leg on the 1. So we might see a different ploy here. Deep mid wicket's back and long on's back.
Yeah, she's gone for 5 off the first 2 balls of the over, but in terms of total yards by which a catch has been missed, it's probably in single figures.
Yes. Have you just made up this new stat? I quite like this stat. So for each bowler, yeah, he took none for 34, but he was actually only 9 yards away from getting 4 wickets. Bunch of edges landing a foot in front of third slip.
Let's get the analysts on it.
I think they'd be delighted for you to give them something else to do. So what is your solution for Scotland's women?
Well, I think there needs to be more of a performance element baked into how money is distributed in the women's game. At the moment, it's you either qualify for the World Cup or you don't. You either get all the money or you don't.
Yeah.
Or you're a full member or you're not, and your performances clearly don't have any bearing over whether or not you're a full member in women's cricket. And also, World Cup qualification, given you only have 8 teams at a 50 over World Cup.
Yes, it's faintly farcical, isn't it?
Isn't sustainable, right? Because
yeah.
Someone's got to miss out. I mean, for viewers who haven't watched, I was literally going to say, for viewers who haven't followed the women's international game particularly closely, what has happened is wide ball down the leg side. West Indies were semi-finalists in the T20 World Cup in October 2024. Semi-finalists.
Having knocked England out.
Knocked England out. For the 2025 50 over World Cup that takes place in a similar part of the world in India at the same time of the year, they are not there. In Hayley Matthews, they have arguably the player in the world at the moment.
Yeah, they were knocked out by basically 1 ball, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
1 or 2 balls. The sliver of a difference in net run rate was so crazy. Stefani Taylor hitting a 6 instead of a 4 off what turned out to be the last ball of the match. 164 for 6, 29 gone. This partnership continues to be an irritant to Surrey. With a target of 349, another 185 needed from 21. That run rate, it's edging up, but runs are also coming relatively fluently.
Yeah, that required run rate is just creeping up towards 9.
Your problem is the next 5 or 6 overs, if you don't keep going at least 7 and over, then suddenly that rate is 10, and then before you know it, it's 2 a ball, and then it's horrible, even out here. But Surrey fans and Surrey players will not thank me for reminding, but we did see what is possible on this surface in the first match played in this competition here a week ago. 31 needed off 10 balls. Amanda J. Wellington hit her first 6 balls for 4. So you have to keep believing, and the key is to get a partnership going, and this partnership is going. It's going very nicely between Fraser and Dobson.
Yeah, currently worth 67 from 56 balls. They're really not far off what the required run rate is.
So I feel I've been a little guilty about just slightly more wides than they'd be happy with, but part of this is that they are missing a significant component of their bowling attack with Alice Capsey not there. Kaylee Moore's doing a good job here though, 1 for 36 halfway through her 8th over. We're back here on Sunday. You here?
I'm not.
Oh, you not?
I'm playing in a
You're
cricket
playing?
writers fixture against.
Oh, beats the bat. Well taken by keeper Chatley, who whips the bails off for good measure.
Gunnersbury Cricket Club,
Ah.
who were not in Gunnersbury, or the Gunnersbury that I was aware of.
Yes, I'm really sorry about this. It's offered to me too, but absolutely no way, pal. It is miles away, beyond the M25 in the north, isn't it?
Yeah, correct.
It's a cruel and unusual punishment. End of the over. 30 gone, 167 for 6. It's a good over, that.
Should we go around the
Fairly well.
grounds?
Oh, please. Go round the grounds for me.
So, there are 2 other games taking place at the moment.
That's right.
At Edgbaston, the Blaze scored 252 for 9.
Just to interrupt you, this is our worm, by the way, and the worm shows basically parity, except on the wickets column, and that is the difference. But the run rate is not daunting. Then it's Danny Gregory comes back into the attack. Our change of bowler, powered by SSE Energy Solutions.
So the
The
Blaze
Blaze.
scored 252 for
Yes.
9 off their 50 overs. Emily Arlott, who scored an amazing 100
140, wasn't it?
in the most recent round, she took 3 for 39 for Warwickshire.
She's doing the business. With an Arlott play in the last round and a boycott. Takes you right back to the 70s, huh?
In response are 122 for 1 in the 27th. Davina Perrin is going very well, 47 off 44.
She is a prospect. Georgie Heath will tell you, watching her in the Under-19 World Cup. She's got a touch of the Maya Bouchier's to her style, actually. Davina Perrin, I think.
Speaking of Maya Bouchier,
Oh, yes.
77 off 69 today for Hampshire against Lancashire. Hampshire going very well in the run chase there. They're 194 for 1 off 34, chasing
Runs galore.
292. Eve Jones, 107 for Lancs. Emma Lamb continuing her good form, 84 off 94.
I know who that'll please. Jack Rule will love that. Big Emma Lamb fan.
Quite quickly discarded by England. There was a point where she was clearly,
A thing.
yeah, and playing quite a lot for England across formats. But then very quickly she seemed to be not just not in the team, but a few rungs down the ladder.
It's been a good over this from Gregory, incidentally. Just landing the ball where she wants here. This over.
That required run rate is rocketed a little bit in the last 5 minutes.
That's what I mean. It's at this stage, if you don't keep close to the rate, you don't have to be getting 8, 9 over every over, but if you get 7, 6.5, 7, you're all right. But by this stage, they're getting to the point when they might need a boundary and over. So runs galore today then. Do you think this is a sort of a deliberate ploy? So, look, a lot of people talk about when watching women's cricket just how important the pitch is. Obviously it's important in any game of cricket, but for women's cricket, a bit of carry, a bit of bounce. As that ball is smote away beautifully for 4. That's the drag down, that's the boundary in the over that just about keeps Durham in touch. 7 off the over. That was the one poor ball that Gregory bowled, and it was punished. 174 for 6 after 31.
Yeah, I think a good cricket pitch is a pitch that allows all types of players to show off how good they are. And what you want is a pitch good enough for batters to show their full array of shots. And this pitch certainly has that, but it has also allowed for some eye-catching moments from bowlers, both seam and spin. Durham spinners bowled really well, but the extra pace of Phoebe Turner was effective. McDonald Gay, arguably the most impactful performance of the match with the new ball.
Moore's going to continue her penultimate over. Despite the misfield, they won't take the run. Don't forget to catch our podcast this evening, Oval and Out. I believe it's called a pun. And no better two people to bring you 7.5 minutes of fantastic, joyful wonder than Cameron Ponsonby and Georgie Heath, who I believe are on the tools today. Oval and Out appears after every game and every day of men's cricket and women's cricket this season, as we cover every ball of every home match. The Oval, Guildford, here in Beckenham. That's been pulled away, and it's another drag down, and it's another boundary, just when it was feeling a little bit urgent.
Yeah, I've been really impressed by Catherine Fraser. Initially made a name for herself as an off-break bowler. Bowled well with a new ball today for Durham, but hasn't played a lot of English domestic cricket. She's got a decent ODI record with the bat, and given the opportunity to bat time in the middle today, she has taken it pretty well. 37 off 39 so far.
Beats the bat. Which over did the 6th wicket fall in?
The last ball of the 20th over.
So these two have been together for 12 overs. Oh, again beats the bat. So good finish from Moore. 1 for 41 from her 9. She's only got 1 over left. 179 for 6.
Yeah, so these two have put on 80 in exactly 12 overs. So just over 7 runs in over.
80 and 12.
Just over 7 runs in over? No.
6.66.
Just over, yeah.
Thank
you, Daniel. Thank you, Daniel. No, that was a valid correction. Better to correct it than let it slide. But it's meant that this game still has some life in it. That required run rate is going up, but it's not totally unmanageable.
Well, they haven't had to panic it yet. That's the key, isn't it? They're still able to justify knocking it around, finding the gaps, getting the ones, and a poor ball will come. A poor ball has come. You've got leg spinners and it'll happen. But then they can also bowl balls that land exactly where she wants them to go. Oh, my goodness. Well, that is a bit of an error. Down at long off. Fielder making a bit of a Horlicks on that one. Nicely firmly struck. But just diving over the ball there. And giving away, well, probably 2 runs. They probably made it back for 2 with a relay. Fine shot from Dobson. And that will bring up her half century. They're coming back for 2. Will comfortably beat the throw with Catherine Fraser. 51 or 53. And most importantly, she's still there. And we've seen it's possible to accelerate on this surface. The jeopardy for Durham is they lose a wicket, brings a new batter out, a number 9, and things again get very, very difficult. You've only got to sort of check out the Duckworth-Lewis par away to our left to get an idea. It stands at 259 at the moment.
Yeah, really assured innings from Dobson. Her 3rd list day half century. She was probably Durham's standout fielder. Took 3 very good catches out in the deep.
Unbelievably comfortably as well, though, didn't she?
Yeah, and essentially impressed there with the urgency of her running between the wickets. Really running hard for that second. She was the one who called for it early. And it is genuinely quite warm today. And Dobson did a lot of running during the Surrey innings. So, impressive fitness.
It really is warm today. I went down and lay on the grass for a bit, and it's quite punishing, you know. I'm not warm fit yet. Now then, it's been hoiked out towards Danny White-Hodge. Deep mid-wicket, just with a single, but 8 off the over. They began the over, the required rate of 9.5. Again, they stay in touch. They keep on going at 8s for the next 7 overs. And actually, what's that? That takes them 343. Then they need sort of 10 for the last 10.
Yeah, sometimes you forget that the way in which you actually chase something down at 9.5 runs and over isn't going at 9 or 10 runs and over each time.
No.
It's being close enough to it and then being able to capitalise when opportunities present itself to register 15 runs or more.
And nerves get in as well, don't they? Because you've then got opponents who are starting to think, how have we got ourselves in this position? Moore's going to bowl a 10th and final over.
Actually, there's a really interesting piece that Rob Smythe wrote in the latest Wisden Cricket Monthly magazine, essentially about the best finishers in the game.
Oh, yes.
Across different eras.
Claire Taylor.
Exactly, and Claire Taylor was someone who featured extremely highly on basically every list in the women's game around finishing. And I thought the interview that was done with Taylor was very interesting. She basically said that you don't want to be too fixated over what the asking rate actually is, which might seem counterintuitive because that's your job.
Yeah.
You don't want to forget what the asking rate is.
Oh no, that's come out all wrong. And no ball has been signalled by the umpire, so they'll get a single. The ball will have to be bowled again. There'll be the extra run, and there'll be a free hit here. It's just slipped out of Kalia Moore's hand. She's otherwise been pretty much impeccable here. 44 off 9.2 overs on this surface.
Yeah, similar job to what Maddie Villiers did for Durham. 49 off her 10 overs, which is exceptional analysis given the conditions today.
She's got away with that. Well, got away with the no ball, at least. It's a good response to the free hit. So what did she say, Claire Taylor? How did she frame the run chase? Remind me.
So a lot of it was about personal responsibility. She felt there was one of the World Cups she won. She said she felt she couldn't really celebrate it in the same way because she felt she'd let her side down for getting out in the run chase. I think it was a 50 over World Cup.
Yes, because it didn't count for her unless she basically had a red ink at the end of it.
And she was talking about how when she went into the game against Australia in the T20 World Cup, England needed
the semi-final at
the
Oval. What a game that was.
I think England needed pretty much 10s at some point,
right,
which for 2009
yeah,
was worth a lot more than what 10s are currently worth.
Oh, she's got her. Goes across the stumps. Tries to bring the onside into play, and Dobson's splendid knock comes to an end. Kelly Moore with her second wicket. She's bowled terrifically well today. You wondered when this partnership might just crack, looking for a boundary in the over, trying to go up and over, deep backward square leg, exposing all three stumps, and Moore makes the breakthrough.
Yeah,
7
fine.
down now.
Fine innings from Dobson, but Moore rewarded for her persistence. She's just been quite difficult to get away throughout this Durham run chase. Only really going at 4.5 runs and over. And on this occasion, Dobson trying to move across her stumps to access the leg side. All she can end up doing is dragging the ball back onto her stumps. And Surrey now just 3 wickets away.
Yep. You just felt that partnership needed to keep going to at least the 40th over, really. And there's an instant jump. It's not that we're going to get any rain here, but Duckworth-Lewis is often a really good gauge of where a side is at. And they're currently 95 runs behind par. Par score is 287. Durham are 192 for 7.
Although what I would say is Abby Glenn is not a normal number 9. Averaged 30 odd for the bat in 2024. So Durham, like Surrey, have serious batting depth. Which
they need, with 157 runs still to get. Moore, you'd say, has been the pick of Surrey spinners today. As he passes, as you say, comparison with Maddie Villiers, who did a similar job for Durham. But now Surrey have an opportunity just to apply a bit of squeeze here as a new batter comes in. Harder for Glenn to go searching for the boundaries instantly. So a dot to end. 5 runs from the over. Moore's finished with 2 for 46 from her 10. 192 for 7. 16 overs remain. You see the runs to win at 157. So it's now getting perilously close to 10 runs and over required. Nowadays you tend to find that they have a slightly different approach to the run chase. You know, when you watch Michael Bevan, who's sort of probably, was he the first finisher? You say where we really go berserk about
that's what Rob argued in his piece.
Yeah.
So, sorry, my final point about that 2009 semi-final is that they needed 10s, and Taylor had decided that England were going to target a bowler, and they targeted Lisa Sthalekar.
That's right.
Who was basically the best bowler in the world at that point, and her 2 overs go for 23. And then from that was the moment from which the chase fell England's way. All the momentum went England's way. And I think on that day, Australia held back her overs. I think all 4 overs were left to be bowled in the second half of the innings. When she comes on, England really attack Sthalekar. And then from that point on, England are on top. Sorry.
No, don't apologise. The way you see a lot of people talk about it now is they look at what's required and they look at the number of runs, the number of overs, and convert that into 6s and 4s, but mostly 6s, it seems to me. That's sliding down, so umpire's not interested. Which is a smart way of doing it, I guess, but it speaks to the confidence that people have in clearing the boundaries these days. So, if you say, for example, need 40 off 3. You're looking at that and saying, well, that's 6 6s, isn't it? Or they'd probably say it's 5 6s and 10 singles. And that means you've got to try and find at least 1 6 per over. Of course, they hit a 6 and a 4. It's not scientific, but that's kind of what keeps them in touch, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think if you watch the recent T20 World Cup and WPL, I think the women's game in T20 cricket in particular is becoming more and more about 6 hitting.
Yeah.
The emergence of Kiana Joseph and Chanel Henry for West Indies has been completely transformative for their T20 side. Actually,
it's how the men's West Indies T20 side evolved, isn't it? Really.
Throwing it forward to England over the next year or so I would be fascinated to see how they use Sophie Eccleston as a 6 hitter.
End of the over, just 3 singles from it, 195 for 7. That over from Gregory has increased the run rate. It's up to now beyond 10. It's time you left, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. Send in the Heath.
I'm going to love you and leave you,
Are you
Dan.
off? You off?
I am. That is me for today.
Good luck on Sunday.
Thank you, Dan. It's been a pleasure as always.
I'll see you at our next home game after that. So, change of bowler. Powered by SSE Energy Solutions. Bryony Smith back in the attack. She's picked up a couple of wickets already today. She's done really well juggling her bowlers in the absence of Alice Capsey, who was able to bat, hasn't been able to bowl. Oh, nearly gets a catch offered back to her by Fraser, away to her left. Georgie Heath has rejoined us. He'll be on to take us through to the end of the game, and it's a fine partnership. I kind of feel that now we're nearly in miracle territory as a...
Yes, you would think so. I mean, it's been quite a resistance that's been put up in the last hour or so. Fraser's still out there. She could be eyeing up a half century. But it was just the sort of cluster of wickets, the 2 in 2 balls early on that really put them on the back foot.
And the Susie Bates dismissal.
And the Susie Bates dismissal. And from there, they were really sort of behind the 8 ball. And that kind of, no matter what you build for a 7th wicket partnership, when you're that far behind and you have to sort of go
Tricky.
at 10 and over. Tricky is the word, yeah.
Well, Surrey will not be counting any chickens after the miracle of Beckenham last week. I've never seen 31 scored off the last 10 balls in a women's match to win a game. Never. I've never seen somebody walk out to bat and hit their first 6 balls for 4.
Well, there you go.
So, Surrey fans and Surrey players will not be celebrating.
Well, there are certain sports teams that feel like that, aren't there? They don't celebrate until it's over and the trophy's in the cupboard. That kind of situation.
Well, I'm such a miserabilist that
miserable?
Yeah, I don't get happy until Surrey's men are mathematically, it's impossible for them to go down. And this is the side that's won the last 3 county championships. Because I never know when disaster will strike.
You never know. You never know.
You just don't. Suddenly a bit of rain falls here and in the lap of the cricketing gods.
It's my favourite. My favourite is when people are sort of scrambling for calculators when you're on air, trying to add up and figure out differences and.
Oh, can you imagine having been on that qualifier?
Yeah.
Oh, good grief!
No, it was, no, thank you.
With West Indies needing to get to a certain point at a certain point, and of course, because it was presumably it was dependent on the other game taking place as well.
Yes.
So you've got kind of
But then I also
think
think
you need Hypercourse or
if you just win all your games, then you're fine.
Yeah, well, yes, that is also true.
A la Pakistan, but.
Yeah. Well, they absolutely cruised it.
They did, yeah.
Right, 36 overs gone, 14 remain, and the asking rate that was hovering in the late 8 points, 8.8 or so, not that long ago. Well, a wicket, a couple of dry overs, a really good over from Danny Gregory, although she starts her next one with a wide. You've seen that rate creep up now towards 11 and over.
Yeah, it's quite an ask, that, isn't it?
Yeah, well, in a modern parlance, once you get to 2 runs a ball, it does get really quite tricky, and 2 runs a ball is really not very far away, so somehow Durham have got to find a way of not losing wickets and scoring runs quickly. It's basically the holy grail of cricket. Oh, certainly the holy grail of white ball cricket. Danny Gregory, I think, has come back well.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at her figures, 0 for 40, that's 41 now. You think, oh, she's had a really poor day, and she had a few very poor overs, but as you say, come back well. Started this over with that bit of a horrendous wide down the leg side, but we've all been there, done it. Sweaty hands.
Yep, it's a hot day. 200 up for Durham. It gets into such a tangle there, Fraser's quite lucky not to drag that back onto her stumps. But yeah, she's just landed a few more in this spell. It's the peril of being a leggy, isn't it? That you're trying to do the hardest thing that there is.
It's so unnatural, isn't it?
Yep. Where's that gone? Oh, beautifully taken out at wide long on. An 8th wicket falls. It's a wicket of Fraser. And Gregory has reward.
Yeah, it's her second catch for Paige Schofield as well. The first one she took today went straight down her throat long on. This time she did have to move a little to her side, but she's a very, very good fielder. The former Vipers player, Southeast Stars, now stuck her. She seems to have nailed her colours to the Surrey mast. So stayed around at Surrey this year, but easy enough grab in the end. And actually she's earned this one, Gregory. She's dragged it back nicely. And finally picks up her first wicket of the day.
Boundary catching has been exceptional today. I'm trying to think of a dropped catch. We had a Dobson at cover, I've been told. But
she did take 3 though.
She did take 3, yeah. But as a general rule, the boundary catching has been splendid.
Yeah, which is what we like to see, because obviously we watched that T20 World Cup where England.
That is basically delight.
Yes.
I think there's a bit of frustration as well, because he's coming on, bowling on what is a road, A couple of slipped out of her hands, but she just got into her work in this last few overs, landing it where she wants it. That one, if anything, wasn't her best ball. It was a little short, but she gets the wicket. And for a bowler, it's so important you get that wicket. You could see what it meant to her. 200 for 8, 149 still needed.
Yeah, suddenly it looks much nicer, doesn't it? 1 for 41 rather than none for 41 from your 6.5.
You kind of ignore the run rate at that
yeah.
point. And actually, if she bowls 2 dot balls here, run rate's below 6 and over.
Happy
and
days.
On a day like today, when you've set your team set 349, then you've done a job. Right, new batter. Turner. Ike, we've decided,
Have
as
we?
opposed to Tina.
Maybe she could have a Tina Turner song as her nickname.
Simply the best. Yeah.
She's got to do something special, though. If she does something special here, then yeah.
I imagine Phoebe would walk out to that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, what would you be your walkout song?
Monster, probably. Last ball of the 13th over is slapped to short mid-wicket. The end you feel is nigh. Durham 201 for 8, the wicket in that over of Fraser. And now there is not a lot of resistance left. 148 needed from 13 overs, required rate well over 11. Or from Georgie Heath. And then she and Cameron Ponsonby are going to take you through to the end of the game.
Thank you, Daniel. I believe Dan is actually departing because we can hear an ice cream van and he's going to chase it down the road. Must be why. So 201 on the board, and well, it is almost all she wrote really here for Durham. 2 pretty fresh batters in here. Bryony Smith already picked up the 2 wickets today, the captain. Looking to try and finish this off.
Sophia Turner very casually drops the ball into the offside. Moves on to 2. So 12.5 overs remain of this match, but 2 balls might do it for Surrey.
Yeah, you sort of feel they'd be disappointed if it goes through to the 50 and they don't take their 10 wickets.
Yeah.
They'll take the win, of course, but at this stage and the stage they had them,
That could split mid on and off. It does, but will get cut off before the boundary. I think the point Yaz made earlier is the big one, which it shows how important Rana McDonald Gay's triple strike at the start of the innings was. On a day that's been superb for batting. He ripped out Durham's top order, including both the big wickets of Bates and Armitage. Armitage for a golden duck, no less. And really, once those 3 wickets had fallen, Durham was so far behind the game. Ooh, I thought I had a little nick through the old headphones.
so did I.
Daniel Norcross is giving us very fond and affectionate farewells as he'll probably stay over there, get an ice cream, enjoy the rest of his day. A bit of a kerfuffle there, I believe. No shot was offered by Turner. Struck her on the leg, no shot offered, no run attempted. All's well in love and war. At the end of the 38th over, 203 for 8.
Yeah, Bryony Smith just trying to give it a little more flight at times, sort of trying to tempt the batters into something. But you know what? I would be really tempted to just bring back on a pacer. Try and just
2 wickets left. Let McDonald Gay
have a go. Yeah.
go at a 5 wicket. Oh, why not?
We've not seen a lot of turn and much. Yes, Gregory picked up her first wicket at the end of that over, and I could be proven completely wrong in a minute when she makes something happen.
Pulled away. Sharply fielded by Kelly Moore at mid-wicket. Just checking in scorecards from Edgbaston and Southport, where it looks like a couple of shocks are on the cards, although the Blaze are fighting back. Glenn cuts the ball out to that sweeper who's been busy throughout the day. So at Southport, Hampshire are 259 for 2, chasing 293 to win. So they really should make it home Whereas Warwickshire have just had a little wobble. They're 154 for 4. They need another 99 to win. They have 4 down. They've got 16 overs remain. That'll be a wide ball. Gregory will have to bowl it again. She apologises, although I'm not entirely sure to who.
I always wondered that. I think I do that, but I'm sort of apologising to everyone.
Actually, I think apparently it's a cultural thing. So a friend of mine speak to the rise of South London yuppiness, basically. They've been playing paddle recently.
Oh yeah.
And of course, naturally, because we're very English, if we kind of make a duff shot, we apologise to our partner. And a friend of mine whose wife's Italian, he was over in Italy and playing paddle with her brothers and her friends, would always apologise and say, I'm kind of scoozy when he mucked up. Bunted down the ground for 1. And they kept on laughing at him. They said, what are you doing? Stop apologising. That's weird. So
Then you apologise for apologising.
yeah, then I'd say, I'm really sorry to have been so weird, and I apologise for playing poor shots. No, I apologise for apologising for playing poor shots.
I apologise when someone walks into me.
I think that's quite right.
Or when they stand on my foot. And I was like, oh, sorry, got big feet.
We're having a very tame passage of play here. That's the end of Gregory's. No, I beg your pardon. 1 ball remains. 4 runs have come off this over. 3 off the bat, 1 from a wide.
There are a few people just departing the ground below us, maybe with dogs, just dog dinner time.
Another single. Very casually and easily taken. It is a bit of a split decision here for Surrey. After 39 overs, 208 for 8. Because on the one hand, you want to try and display that kind of magical word, ruthlessness, and to kill the game early. On the other hand, you are winning.
The win's a win, yeah.
A win is a win is a win. And after a shock start to the season where they're 0 from 2, to get on the board will be very handy indeed, especially if both Lancashire and the Blaze fall to defeats elsewhere. It was a fantastic batting performance from Surrey, and it has been a very fine performance with the ball as well. Bryony Smith just getting a little bit fuller. Turner did well to play that off the back foot. She only has 3 fielders out on the boundary at this stage. She's allowed 4. Short and a dot ball once again. Do you know what I've learnt? The biggest thing I've learnt today?
Bring a hat?
Yes.
Is it?
Correct. Next time, when we're here on Sunday, I'll bring a cap.
When it's raining or something. Because it's bank holiday. Yeah.
No, it is a genuinely wonderful day down here at Beckenham. You can see the picturesque scenes on your screen right now. Rolling hills, big trees. I like a big
The Eiffel Tower.
Well, this is the thing. I didn't Google it in my stint off. There's 2
Eiffel Towers.
two Eiffel Towers.
That's how clear it is. You can see to France.
It is one of the great jokes of our childhood, for those of a South London persuasion. That the tower poles in Crystal Palace were the Eiffel Tower. That's chipped over cover, just evades McDonald Gay. She keeps him down to 1. It's brilliantly chased, even at this stage in the match, to be chasing after every ball like it's the last. She saves a run. That's a dot ball to finish. Just 2 runs off the over. Smith has very fine figures of 2 for 27 off 8. After 40 overs, Durham are 210 for 8. I have the official name.
Oh, okay.
It's the Crystal Palace Transmitting Station.
Oh.
Personally, I'd have gone for the tower. Height, how many meters? How many meters tall do you think it is? I'm going to give you a clue.
Okay.
It would be. I'm not going to give you what the number is, but it's a type of number that is quite famous in cricket. Made famous by a commentator, and also...
What, 222?
Thank you very much.
Is it? Yes.
Straight there.
Happy days.
222 metres is a lot. It's a lot of metres.
Yeah, well, Usain Bolt
Not short.
can run it in what, 19 whatever seconds.
Well, yeah, actually 20
Maybe not
metres.
vertically, but
Vertically would be a
oof.
hell of an effort. I think you can tell by our general meandering that the game is similarly just ebbing and not flowing currently.
It must be then. I think. Actually, I don't know how tall the Eiffel Tower is.
Another dot ball. Well, I can tell you what our next Google search is going to be.
I could tell you that if you go on a Stairmaster and you climb the Eiffel Tower,
Yeah?
it's 110 flights. But that means absolutely nothing because I don't know what a flight is.
Yeah,
So.
if you get back to me with how many steps are in a flight of stairs. An appeal given. Caught down the leg side. Very good work by Kira Chatley. Gregory turns away in with a sheepish sense of embarrassment. It wasn't her best delivery, but she picks up her second wicket of the day, and Turner has to go for 5. And Surrey are 1 wicket away from victory.
Yeah, not her best delivery at all. Could just let that go on its way. She's actually done really quite well to get something on it.
Chatley, that's a fantastic catch from Kira Chatley. She's had to throw herself down to the leg side.
She's been great behind the stumps, actually. Been watching her today. The way she tracks behind the stumps.
Turner looking disappointed, but I think it's because she knows that she's got a bit of glove on a half tracker. When it's that far away from everything else, it really can only be battle glove. Right, 1 wicket left. Surrey will be doing their best to wrap it up quickly. That's a bonus wicket for Gregory. At the end of the season, when she's looking at her stats, she won't remember that one of the wickets was like that.
No, it's like when you hit a terrible 4 and it's gone completely where you didn't want to go. It goes down as 4 in the book, and when you tell someone about it later, as long as it's not on one of the frog boxes or something.
Well, it's one of the great tragedies of modern club cricket. You can't lie anymore. People can see. People can look. Right, it's Katie Levick in at number 11. Danny Gregory with 3 balls left of her over. Starts with a full toss.
Katie Levick drops a bat. I was going to say, nice looking stride, looked very comfortable, and then the bat ended up on the floor.
Oof. Just wonder if there was a slight edge on that as well.
Yeah, I was wondering that as well. I'm just trying to look at the body language of Kira Chatley behind the stumps.
I think there was, but it would have been a remarkable catch. That ball delivery was so full. It's also hit her kind of in the shins, as opposed to taking any part of her glove. 1 ball remains of the 41st over. And a dot to finish. After 41, scores 211 for 9. And Surrey are on the brink of a rather convincing victory. Durham are still 137 runs behind. Surrey's 348 was their 4th highest ever list day score. You can thank Hypercourse for that one.
I'm talking of things being high.
Oh, Georgie Heath, that was excellent.
Thank you.
No, let me guess. Sorry.
Okay.
Can I have a clue though? Can I have a cricketing based
Oh, well, I
clue?
can tell you that it's
No.
a hell of a lot taller than... No, not a hell of a lot, actually. Oh, I can hear that ice cream van again. It's really got in my head now.
No, I've seen it now.
Oh, you're not meant to look. So for those of you who do care, it's 50% taller again. So the tower is 330 metres. The Eiffel Tower?
Very good.
There you go. That's 1,083 feet.
That's driven very convincingly for 4. Glenn. It was a very fine average. She's a very good batter to have all the way down at number 9. Skips down to Bryony Smith and picks up 4 runs for her troubles.
So the Eiffel Tower is 1,083 feet,
Yep.
which is 6,498 G-Heaths. So that's how many me
Wonderful.
would have to stand on top of my head to be the height of the Eiffel Tower. There you go.
Sneaks down the leg side. If you want more interesting and fun tidbits like this, make sure to tune into Oval and Out, which will be featuring me and Georgie Heath afterwards to review today's play.
I also pressed times by accident. It's 180.5 of me.
Oh.
Which is still
That's
just as
changed
exciting.
everything. Glenn strikes down the ground once more. That was a beautiful strike, reminiscent of Davidson Richards earlier on today. And it's 4 more runs.
That's glorious. This kind of shot you always dream of playing. Along the ground, completely safe, balanced, and straight as an arrow back past the bowler.
Well, that's a drag down. But Smith gets away with it. Glenn's just able to help it into the leg side for 1. So Smith's very impressive figures are just taking a bit of a dent at the moment. She'll still be very happy with her afternoon's work. 2 for 36 with 1 ball of her 9th over remaining. Dot to finish. After 42 overs, the score is 220 for 9.
Yeah, they just want to wrap this up now, Surrey. Get it done. The W in the bag, but it's always an extra bonus to bowl a team out. And they've got 8 overs and just 1 wicket in hand. Katie Levick yet to get off the mark. Glenn is putting up some resistance further down the order. I think that's what things Durham can take home with them, is that actually they have had these partnerships build. The 7th wicket partnership obviously looked like it was sort of trying to get them back in the game. They were just never quite up with that run rate. But there are positives to take away from this.
It's fielded off her own bowling by Gregory. She'll bowl her 10th and final over. Struck straight, and that'll be 4 more. Glenn is playing a fine little hand just at the end of Durham's innings here. It's prompted a fielding change. McDonald Gay is coming up from deep square leg, and mid-off is being shoved back onto the boundary edge.
Yeah, nice little cameo this down the order. And you've got to remember, you know, as we look down the line, so often in tournaments and leagues, people don't start talking about run rates and things until the very end. Well, actually, it's important all the way. They know they're probably going down in this game. You're sort of 99.9% sure. But every run is going to make a difference, if it should, further down the line.
Well, you make a good point. It happens in every tournament I think anyone's ever watched, where the first however many games play out a bit on autopilot at the end, and then it comes to the crunch stage of the group, people start panicking up whether they need to win by 87 runs or 83.
Yeah, it drives me mad.
That's another beautiful shot from Glenn. That's 4 more. She's given herself space to play through the offside and driven gloriously through cover for 4. Have a look at this.
It's all about balance at that point. You know, she's not trying to hit it too hard. She's just got herself in a really nice position, given herself room, balanced and soft hands. And the ball's just being fetched from underneath the covers over there by the tree, by the flats. I'd be out on my balcony having a watch. What day of the week is it? Wednesday? You could have a beer, couldn't you? It's
a Wednesday. 5 p.m. on a Wednesday. Hot day.
Who cares what day it is, really?
Sun's out. 2 balls left of Glenn's spell, of Gregory's spell, and Glenn's on strike. Oh, I think she's got an inside edge on that, and it'll run away for 4 more. We'll wait to see umpire signal, and James Treadwell signals 4 runs. It was off the bat. And Gregory, for the luck she got last over to claim that wicket, it's being paid back in kind. That goes through everything. Kira Tratley with a shrug of the shoulders. What do you want me to do? Snuck down the leg side. It's come off the back of the bat. That's an extraordinary shot. Bryony Smith tidies up at short third. And crucially for Durham, they sneak a single. Glenn keeps the strike, and after 43 overs, it's 233 for 9.
Yeah, impressive stuff this from Glenn. 30 from 27. Katie Levick at the other end, just sort of playing the audience at the moment, just got a front row seat. And I think this is just going to be really frustrating, these Surrey players, because you want to be able to prove that you can be ruthless at the end of an innings, and they just can't take this final wicket. The resilience of Glenn. And we are going to have a change of bowler powered by SSE Energy Solutions. So Alice Monaghan going to turn to a bit of pace and see if they can just break through Glenn's defences.
I'm very happy with this move. See something different, something new. Monaghan returns to the attack. I think she's bowled without reward so far this season. She went wicketless here last week, despite a very fine opening spell to former England captain Heather Knight. Starts with a wide delivery, just sneaks down the leg side.
But I do like this change from Bryony Smith. She still has one up her sleeve should she be required. But she was getting a little expensive, leaking runs and not looking particularly dangerous.
I'll be interested to see here if Glenn is able to kind of drop the ball into the offside and the single is available. Does she take the run? Or does she enjoy her little net session at the end? Strikes Glenn on the pad, and they do indeed take the single.
There's your answer. So Katie Levick faced 4 so far. Yet to find herself a run. Obviously not necessarily renowned for her batting prowess.
Well, Monaghan will have 4 deliveries at the number 11. I think the message will be bowl at the stumps. Get us a wicket. Let's go and celebrate this win in the sun.
Before the ice cream van goes.
Correct. Oh, opportunity, but Monaghan just loses her footing. Levick with a leading edge. That just looped tortuously back over the head of the bowler.
Yeah, she was just imitating there. She just went over slightly on that ankle. She seems all right. And the excitement to try and turn and get it back over her head. I think she might have needed to be a foot or 2 taller.
No, it wasn't the most elegant fall to the ground, but they never are. Have that from Levick. Punches the ball into the leg side. Gets herself off the mark. And Glenn back on strike. So for any Durham optimists out there, the equation currently is 113 to win off 38. You know what? It'd be a hell of a thing if it happened. Short. Cut into the offside. They might be able to come back for 2 here. Wyatt Hodge is doing the fielding on the boundary's edge. And they do trot home for 2.
Again, agonisingly close, isn't it? It's sort of playing with fire. And it's that kind of moment as one of the fielders, you go, ooh, oh.
I actually think I've revised my opinion from whether Surrey will be disappointed not to have wrapped this up faster. It's been such a wonderful day for batting to have taken 9 wickets in itself. To have taken 9 wickets, ripped out the top order. As Durham scamper through for an overthrow here.
Yeah, they just don't want to let things like that start to slip into their play today. You know, we want to come to the end of the day and say, right, we were clinical.
Sure.
We did this and this and this, rather than, oh, there was an overthrow here and there was a missed opportunity there.
Well, they could have timed their overthrow better for the point I was trying to make. That was unfortunate then. 44 overs gone, 239 for 9. But all in all, 95% of a job. Very well done so far for Surrey. Just the finishing touches to be done. Looks like Bryony Smith is going to come back into the attack to finish off. All bowling changes, all Surrey bowling changes, of course, sponsored and powered by SSE Energy Solutions. So Glenn's on strike. There are 4 fielders manning the fences. Deep mid wicket, long on, long off, and cover point are out. And Glenn finds the fielder at long on and scampers through for a single. I think Smith will be very happy with that result. She's got 5 balls at the number 11 here. Can walk away with a 3-for. It's a wonderful shot from Levick. She just gets 1 for her trouble. So something that is in play currently, and I was frantically Googling on my phone and on my laptop to find it, is the matter of bonus points. So if Surrey keep Durham to 278 or fewer, they get the bonus point. So it's 4 points for a win, and you get a 5th point if you win with a run rate, I believe, I'm sure I'll be corrected here, that is 1.25 better than your opponent. What that actually means in practice, I don't know, but thankfully there are very intelligent mathematicians out there who can explain it. Inside edge, almost bowls Glenn there. Smith's just come around the wicket.
It's the kind of thing you wonder if ChatGPT could get its head around.
No chance.
No.
No.
That's why we need Hypercourse and the like.
That's gone a long way down the leg side. I think it's come off Chatley's book, so if it does make it to the fence, it will still be wides. But the ball is cut off. We'll wait for umpire Treadwell's signal. Nothing doing, nothing given. 2 runs. So 35 to get for Durham. There is still points at play here. Just slides on. Then fails to make contact. 1 ball remaining of Smith's 10. And more fine batting from Glenn. She powers a single up to long off. With 5 overs remaining, 45 gone, the score is 244 for 9.
Well, to be honest, I didn't think they would make it to 45 overs, actually. When wickets were tumbling early on, and then the 7th and 8th went down, then the 9th. But Glenn, in particular, down the order, has really showed the value of runs further down the order. And Levick just keeping her company at the moment, doing what she needs to do, just being at the other end.
Absolutely. The partnership is 33 between this pair. Levick is on 2. Monaghan is going to continue from the city end. It's cut. Is it caught? It is caught. Game, set, match, Surrey. They're on the board. As Rana McDonald-Gay claims the winning catch at backward point. A fine effort diving forward. And Monaghan gets a deserved wicket as well. Surrey win by 104 runs.
And you know what? Appropriate, Rana McDonald-Gay. She started off with the ball, taking the wickets early on, the 2 in 2 balls, and then the big wicket with Susie Bates, and then she finally takes the grab at the end, and actually a really good catch in the end, diving forward, using the pace, tried to give herself room, almost gave herself too much room, and did well to get both hands under it, claims it, gets the high fives, and that is the win and the bonus point for Surrey.
A perfect response to starting the season with 2 losses. Getting that victory, but not only a victory, a 5-pointer. They've beaten Durham convincingly, and you see there the celebrations from Monaghan. They are on the board, and with the results potentially going their way across the country as well, that could be the perfect result to get their season up and running. Rhiannon McDonald-Gay, as Georgie mentioned, the star with the ball. Her 3-wicket burst that started the innings. Potentially the difference between these 2 teams. It's been such a beautiful day here in Beckenham. The sun's been shining throughout. The outfield's fast, the wicket was true, and the runs were aplenty. Surrey amassed 348, their 4th highest ever list day score. And when Marlowe, Armitage and Bates were gone with just over 10 overs bowled, it always looked like it was going to be too much for Durham, who showed excellent fight towards the end. Catherine Fraser with 43, Glenn with 37, coming from 8 and 9. But ultimately, it was McDonald Gay's spell of 3 for 38. You can see her name littering the top of that scorecard. Marlowe, Bates, Armitage, gone, all to McDonald Gay. From that point onwards, it was a fine Surrey bowling performance to back up a fine Surrey batting performance. We'll have the scorecard summary or the bowling card to come. In the meantime, Georgie Heath, your thoughts?
Sorry.
Bless you. You could have told me I could have turned your button off.
Yeah,
It'd
it's
be amazing.
okay. You should normally it's a lot louder, so we're okay.
Wonderful.
Oh.
What are some of your final thoughts?
Oh, my final thoughts. I think Surrey have done really well to come back after 2 losses, especially a difficult one last week when they were sort of stunned into submission after a loss, and they've gone away, they've really worked on their game, and they've come out and they've done the basics right. We were saying we've only seen 1 drop catch today really from anyone throughout the game, so that's impressive stuff from both sides. But they've, they came out, came and did their business, and it was really impressive from Dunkley actually. She really dug in after struggling early on, got herself to 92. There was 100 on the cards for her there, just falling short of that. Capsey looked good. We'll get an update, I'm sure, on what's going on with her and an injury too. And then, ADR at the end just having a great old swing, but it was Rana McDonald-Gay with the ball early on, taking those 2 in 2 and getting rid of Bates that really set them up and sort of supercharged their fielding performance.
Well, the tail of the tape is there on the screen in front of you. Surrey women win by 104 runs. 348 plays 244. We'll be back on Sunday, Surrey's next match in this One Day Cup, and we hope you'll join us on the live stream. If not down here in the ground itself, then thank you, goodbye.
Yeah. Moment of the day, player of the day, what brought you joy? Something to talk about. Why should I